first we'll start with the error handling or handling ambiguous grammar. Okay. We know what is the meaning of ambiguity on the grammar. When you are saying the grammar is ambiguous, when the for the same given grammar, for any given parsing of the input string, if you are getting two different types of derivations, if you are getting the two different types of leftmost derivations or rightmost derivations, or if the grammar is having two different parser for the same given input string, then we can say grammar is having ambiguity. Grammar is having ambiguity, right? So what is the meaning of ambiguity or ambiguous grammar? We can say grammar is having ambiguity if we are having the two different types of derivations. Particularly why we are saying that the derivations, if you are identifying these two derivations, if you are performing the plus operation first between the first pair of IDs, then if you are multiplying the result into the third ID, we are getting the different results. Or else, if you are multiplying the second and third ID and then adding that result to the first ID, we are getting a different result. So the two different types of derivations or two different types of parse is producing two different results, which is an ambiguity for us. Which is an ambiguity for us. What is the final result? That is the question is, what is the final result? The thing is, whenever we are executing the particular expression, whenever we are executing the particular expression, what we expect, we always want a final same result, irrespective of the number of times we are executing. Okay, it should not change from time to time. Okay, that is the thing. That is the meaning of this ambiguity, right? But the thing is, when you are representing the grammar, when you are representing the grammar in some form of productions, okay, whether the grammar is containing the ambiguity or not, okay, every production is representing some sort of operation, okay. Representing the required operations in terms of productions, okay, is carrying some meaning for us, is carrying some meaning for us, okay. So for example, if this is the grammar, if this is the given grammar, E derives E plus B, E or E derives E into E, or E derives in brackets this E, or E derives ID, it is carrying us straight away. Yeah, whenever you can perform a plus operation between two IDs of the E, E is representing ID, same thing, okay. For the same ID, we are also identifying a multiplication operation, okay, or the expression between the braces or without braces, right? The thing is, even though it is carrying the ambiguity, okay, this grammar is showing ambiguity, we can easily recognize E plus E or E into E, a add sign between two expressions, a multiplication sign between two expressions or two numbers, okay. The simple, the representation is straight away simple. So we are having some advantage, okay, uh, by representing the grammar with ambiguity also, no doubt about it. But only thing is, finally it is deriving a different results. First of all, we'll see what we can achieve through ambiguity, okay. So the thing is, in fact, every ambiguous grammar fails to be an LR. That is the main thing, okay. However, certain types of ambiguous grammars are quite useful for our specification and implementation of languages also. Be careful, even though every ambiguous grammar fails to be an LR, but that ambiguity grammars are quite useful for us in specification and implementation of some languages. So, for example, for language construction like expressions, what the expression I shown you, uh, that the ambiguous grammar provides a shorter and more natural specification. Okay, plus means directly between two operations. Directly an addition means between two expressions or two numbers, or right. So it is a very shorter one. a more natural representation notation so that we can easily recognize and that any equivalent than any ambiguous grammars. Okay, more natural specification than any other unambiguous grammar. Okay, that is the reason we generally sometimes we may prefer ambiguous grammar for representation. Another use of ambiguous grammar is it is in isolating the commonly occurring syntactic constructors for special case optimizations. For special case optimizations. Okay, right. So the thing is, in the special case optimization means we always want the contents. Okay, it may isolate commonly occurring syntactic construction like if then else that repetitions. Okay, those things. Okay, so within ambiguous grammar, we can specify the special case constructs by carefully adding new productions to the grammar. We can add any new operations easily using the ambiguous grammar. Okay, right. That is the generally some purpose of this ambiguous grammar. But whenever we are identifying the ambiguity is producing different derivations to the leftmost derivations or to rightmost derivations for the given expression, it is leading to different outputs that we identified. Okay, so that is the thing that the grammar is having two different trees, easy for the recognition. Okay, but these two trees are producing two different types of outputs. Why that is happening is, for example, whenever we are having the two operations, even say for example here, it is containing a plus sign and a multiplication sign. Okay, generally if you are identifying using our expression evaluation, using the data structures or anything, if you are having the two plus signs, what is the indication of the two plus signs or two minus signs or two multiplications operations or two division operations or exponent operations? Okay, if you are identifying this particular thing, this particular thing is carrying some meaning to us. Okay, say for example, if it is a multiplication sign, for example, if it is a multiplication sign, the multiplication sign is more precedence, having the more precedence than the plus sign. What it is indicating? Okay, we need to complete multiplication operation first, than the addition operation. Okay, if you carrying this precedent, if you use the precedence over the operations in the expression, multiplication sign or division sign is having more precedence than plus and minus signs. What it indicates? We need to finish the multiplication operation before plus operation. Multiplication, we need to finish multiplication operation before plus operation. Okay, then only we will get the correct result. Whenever we are identifying this tree, the parse tree, the nodes at the bottommost will finish its operation first, like recursion operation, like recursion operation. Okay, in the recursion operation, what we are doing? We are doing at the bottommost position operations are we are doing first. Okay, our innermost operations we are doing first. Then slowly we are moving towards root node. Okay, or main step. Okay, so here also if you are using the tree representation, the tree representation always showing the nodes at the leaf level or innermost will finish its operation before doing the operation at the root level. So if you are representing your this operation, okay, we must perform this multiplication operation first. Then we need to add this result to getting the leaf level operation, that plus operation. For this plus operation, first of all, we need to finish this multiplication operation by using the result of this multiplication operation. We are adding this result to this E. Okay, that is the indication. So it automatically forces to do this multiplication. So for example, if you are performing this operation first, okay, if you are using this tree first, okay, what happens here? The same principles occur here also. First, it is performing the plus operation, okay, which is less precedence than this multiplication operation. This multiple, what is the result getting from this addition? We are multiplying with this a, which is wrong, which is wrong. This is wrong. This is right. Okay, that is the thing. Okay, so the correct operation is this one. Similarly, for example, if you are getting the plus signs, for example, both are the plus signs. This is not a multiplication sign that you expect. It is also plus sign. Generally, in what way, if you are replacing this multiplication sign with the plus sign, what is the our expected result? Okay, if you are having the two symbols of the same type, two plus signs, two multiplication signs, even plus and multiplication at the same level of precedence, two multiplication signs or two division signs, what generally we expect? We do associativity. Okay, then we are applying the associativity in the expression evaluation. Then if you are using the same symbols at the particular level, what we do? We do the leftmost operation first, the leftmost plus sign first, then we are performing the rightmost plus operation. Okay. So what is the thing? Other case, if you are using id plus id plus id. Okay. If this is the expression, what we need to prefer? First of all, we need to add this id with this id. Then the result has to be added with this id. That is the correct form. Because if you are using based on the symbols, we are also applying the associativity. Okay, all these symbols are having the left associativity. Okay, express except exponents. Exponents are having the right associativity. Okay, but if you are having the different symbols, we are giving the precedence. If you are giving the precedence, we are performing operation between second and third. Then the result is adding to the first. But if you are identifying the second case, as the two are the same type of symbols, we are using the associativity operation first. Then what we need to do? We need to perform the first addition operation between first ID and second ID. Then the result has to be added to the third ID. Generally, this is the expression evaluation, whatever the conditions we are applying. But for the previous grammar, the grammar is containing the two derivations. Of these two derivations, which is represented by these parse trees. The first one is right, second one is wrong. So there is a possibility of getting the second one also. That we need to avoid. How we can avoid is we need to convert the given grammar in such a fashion. Okay, we need to convert the given grammar in such a fashion. It should not go for the second alternative. We should not go to the second alternative. We should not allow to derive the given grammar using the second set of derivation. We should not allow to derive the given input string using the second set of derivations. Okay, so that means we need to convert the given ambiguous grammar into non-ambiguous grammar. Okay, right. So we'll see that is the meaning of handling the ambiguous grammar. We need to see how we can do this particular operation. Okay. So for example here, first we'll take this particular two plus signs, or not only the plus sign, it can be of any of two same type of symbols. Any of two same type of symbols. Only thing is plus minus is having the same precedence. Multiplication and division is having the same precedence. Exponent is having the different precedence. Okay, let we assume we are having the id plus id plus id. Okay, even whatever, whether it is if id plus id plus id, if it is the given grammar is the above one, E derives E plus E and E derives E into E or in within brackets ID, definitely we will get two different types of pass trees. Only thing is in place of multiplication sign, here also we'll get plus sign. Okay, so it is getting two pass trees. We need to avoid. We need to avoid. So the thing is, if you are having the two symbols of the same type, what is the our preference now? We need to apply associativity. Okay, okay. In order to get the associativity, here we need left associativity only. What it mean? We need to handle leftmost plus sign first, then only we want to handle the rightmost plus sign. What it indicating? We want always to handle leftmost symbol. The grammar has to expand towards left only. You should not go to the right. Left recursion means, okay, left recursion means the derivation has to expand towards left only. It should not go towards right. If it is right associativity, it indicates we want to expand the given expression towards right only. It indicates we need to handle rightmost symbol first. Okay, right. So here, what is our requirement here? We want to handle leftmost symbol. We want to handle leftmost symbol. If you want to use the leftmost symbol, the grammar has to expand towards left only. What it indicates here, if you want to avoid the recursion, we want to expand towards left only. It is nothing but the grammar has to contain left recursion only. The grammar has to expand left recursion only. It should not have right recursion. Okay, what is the meaning of left recursion? Grammar always expands towards leftmost symbol, using leftmost symbol. Okay, if you can include the left recursion, the grammar can always expand towards left only. Okay, na? Right. So that way, that means it forces us to use leftmost plus sign. Okay, so that thing, it should never allow to go expand right one. So for example, if you are having the E plus E, okay, if you are having the multiple E symbols, okay, what do you think? If you are having say for example E plus E, what is doing this E plus E? What is representing this E plus E? The E can be replaced by using the E into E or within the braces or ID, either using the first E or using the second E also. Either we can do replacement of this E with ID, either using the first E or using the second E also. That means we can go either from the left side or we can go right side also. That we need to avoid. That we need to avoid. If you can replace this E, if you can replace this E with some other thing, the E always can go to using the first E only. Okay. If you replace this E with some other thing, okay, as there is no E on the left hand side, right hand side, the grammar can't go right hand side. The grammar must go from the left hand side only. Okay, so we are removing or we are not allowing the grammar to go on the right hand side. That is the reason this E plus E is replaced by E plus ID. That grammar is replaced, this E plus E is replaced by E plus ID. We are not giving here straight away, we are not giving second E. If you want to expand this E any n number of times, once again, you can use this E can be replaced by one more E plus ID. Okay, first ID, the plus ID is already there. If you are replacing this first E, E plus ID, this can be E plus ID. Then we can replace this E with ID. automatically we are getting ID plus ID plus ID. It is moving towards left only. So for example, okay, if you are using this particular thing, okay, what happens? We are removing all the remaining things. We can add, similarly, we can add this multiplication sign also. We can add this multiplication sign also. Okay, so this multiplication sign also can be represented using E derives E multiplication multiply ID.
హలో సార్
చెప్పమ్మా
సార్ ఇది కొంతమంది వెయిటింగ్ రూమ్ లో ఉన్నారట సార్
ఇద్దరు ఉన్నారు రైట్ ఓకేనా so
ఓకే
right here what I am doing here once again, so for example ID also, if you are having that two of the same multiplication signs instead of this E plus E, what I am doing, because here as we are having that two E's, the first E can be replaced by one more E plus E, or first E can be replaced by one more E into E, or second E can be replaced by E plus E, or second E can be replaced by E plus E, E multiplication E. But we don't want. We always want to expand the first E only. Expanding first E means we are handling first plus first, or first multiplication first. Okay, so the given expressions we are rewriting in such a fashion. If you want to expand, we have to expand leftmost plus sign, or leftmost multiplication sign, or leftmost division sign only. Okay, so here there is no chance of replacing the second E. There is no chance of going towards right direction. So there is no chance of going right direction. The thing is, what is happening? It always, if you are having the two signs of the same type, it always going towards left only. Okay, towards left only. Okay, clear? So if you are having this particular thing, what happens? Whenever we are having the ID is equal to ID plus ID, this first using the first expansion, this E plus E is becoming, okay, the E plus E, first of all E is replaced by E plus E. Then this first only, because we are not allowing the second E, it has to go to the other direction only. We are not allowing E plus E at all. This is also straight away, now this E also straight away become ID only. Okay, so if it has to replace this E, it has to replace only available E is only this one. This E is replaced by once again E plus E only. There is no chance of replacing this E. So this E is always replacing with ID straight away. This E also is straight away replacing ID only. Okay, so this particular grammar we are replacing in such a fashion. So always it handles the ID plus ID first, then it is handling the second ID operation. Okay, it is going towards left direction. This is the previous false-free. This is the previous false-free. This false-free, we automatically avoiding the second E's. By avoiding the second E's, it is going towards left direction. If it is going towards the left direction, what happens? It has to handle first E only first, then only it is handling the second E operation. Okay, right. So the thing is, in such a fashion, okay, we are redrawing this particular grammar in such a fashion. Okay, towards identifying the plus signs or multiplication signs. Okay, right. So for example, now the thing is the associative we are applying, the associative we are applying for getting the same symbols, for getting the same symbols, only plus sign or multiplication sign. Okay, right. The only thing is if you are using the power symbols to the power, then we need to go for the right association. If you want to use the right association, in what way we need to redraw this particular grammar? We need to okay, we need to allow this expansion E to be on the right hand side. If you are writing any grammar, ID power to the power and E and ID, what it is indicating? We are expanding the rightmost E. It indicates right association. It indicates right association because there is no non-terminal symbol on the left hand side. If the non-terminal is available only on the right hand side, we call it as the right associativity. We call it as right associativity. The right associative means the rightmost symbol will be executed first, then the leftmost symbol will be executed. For example, if you are rewriting the same E plus E or E into E, okay, as first non-terminal, then terminal symbols, this type of production we call it as left associativity productions. Okay, in order to avoid ambiguity between same type of symbols, we need left recursion, or using the left recursion. Okay, using the left recursion or simply recursion, we are implementing associativity. We are implementing associativity. Okay, right. So by replacing this particular grammar in such fashion, by replacing this grammar in such fashion, we can avoid the ambiguity. This grammar always produce only one parse tree. It never produces one more parse tree because there is no other choice. The only choice is we need to expand this leftmost non-terminal. The only choice is we need to expand this leftmost non-terminal. There is no other non-terminal to expand. Okay, there is no other non-terminal to expand for getting the result. Okay, so by redrawing this grammar using the recursion or simply left recursion, we can implement associativity between the symbols. Okay, right. Similarly, okay, in order to define the precedence, okay, which operation to be performed first? Which operation to be performed first? Say for example, we are having the different symbols. For example, we are having the different symbols in the given expression. We are having the different symbols in the expression. Okay. Here left precedence symbol is there. More precedence symbol is there. Okay. When you are having the symbols at different precedence levels, we know in the expression evaluation, we always need to do highest precedence operation first. We need to do highest precedence operation first. Then we need to do lowest precedence operation, right? Okay. In order to perform this highest precedent operation first, then need to do the lowest precedent operation. What we are doing is we also identified using the tree operation, using the bottommost operations. Always root level always the leaf level operations are performing first, then intermediate operations, then only we are performing the root operation. What it indicates? The operation indicating at the root level is always doing at last. The operations at the leaf level always performing at the first. So if you can implement the highest precedence operations at the leaf level represent, those operations are always will be done first, then slowly moving to the lowest level operations. Okay. And also the thing is, once you can do only the plus operation if and only if you know the what is the result of this particular E. If you want to get the result of this particular E, you need to perform this operation first. Okay. So that what it indicates, once if and only if you are completing the multiplication operation, then only you can do the plus operation. If and only if you are completing the multiplication operation, then only you can come to the plus operation. Or else, once you are reaching the plus operation means you can't go back to the multiplication operation. What it indicating? Once you are reaching the plus operation, you can't go back to the multiplication operation. That is we are getting from this particular. That is we are getting from this particular parse tree. Okay, right. So in order to perform this particular precedence operation, we are using different levels. We can use different levels by defining all higher precedence operations at leaf level, by performing all higher level operations at the leaf level or innermost levels, and doing all the lower precedent operation at root level, or maybe the high level of the intermediate nodes. We can do, or we can successfully implement precedence between different operations, precedence between different operations that we need to apply in defining this particular grammar, that we need to perform in this grammar. Okay, right. So the thing is, we are redrawing the same given grammar in such a fashion, so multiplication, without performing the multiplication operation, without performing the assignment operation, we can't do the lower precedent operation. Okay, right. So the thing is, start the productions with the lower precedent symbols and replace the other things with the higher precedent operations. The first E is represented with E derives E plus T or simply T. Okay, that means this E operation we cannot reach to this particular thing until unless we are performing the, we know the T of result of T. Okay, right. So we are creating this particular grammar in such a fashion until unless we don't know T, if at all it is having. Okay, if at all it is having. Okay, now without knowing T, we can't come to the plus operation. Okay, so we are defining this particular replacing the first production as E plus T. If there is no plus operation, straight away you can come to the T. Okay, but without T, we can't come back to E. Without T, we can't come back to E. Okay, so then we come to what is the meaning of T. T derives T into F. If there is no multiplication sign, then straight away we can come to the F. But the thing is, we can't identify the value of T without knowing F. Okay, without knowing F, we can't compute the value of T. Okay, so come back to the F. F can be replaced by simply ID. If you know ID, we can replace this F with ID using the ID, or the T can be once again replaced by one more ID F. We can compute the value of multiplication sign. After getting the multiplication sign with or without multiplication sign, we can get the value of T. Once we are getting the T with or without multiplication sign, then coming back to the plus sign, then coming back to the plus sign. Then using this T of T value with or without plus sign, we can compute E value. But here also, it is very much clear, until unless we are completing with or without multiplication operation, we can't come back to the plus sign. Okay, without completing the multiplication operation, we can't come to the addition operation. Okay, and also, or nothing but, if you are reaching the addition operation, we can't go back to multiplication operation. Okay, so automatically whatever the IDs we are having, after completing the multiplication operation only, we are coming to plus operation. After completing the plus operation, automatically we are going back to the starting symbol or root symbol E. Okay, so by this fashion, we can complete the precedence between two or more number of symbols, and also it is having only one sort of expansion, leftmost expansion only. It is not allowing any other expansion, because every production is having exactly one leftmost non-terminal or leftmost recursion only. It contains only leftmost recursion only. There is no rightmost derivation. It is not at all allowing right recursion. Okay, right recursion. Okay, what it is indicating, the derivations are always left derivations. There is no right derivations. The derivations are always left derivations, right derivation. Whereas in the ambiguous grammar, we are getting these two things. Either we can follow left derivation, or we can follow right derivations also. Okay, so by restricting all these grammars only left recursion and left derivations, okay, left recursion only and left derivations, okay, we are avoiding the ambiguity, and we are avoiding the other, sparsity. Okay, this is the way we can avoid ambiguity. This is the way we can handle ambiguous grammar. Okay, right. We are having the small other topic, error recovery in the parsing. We are having other topic, small thing. It contains only okay, error recovery. What is the meaning of error recovery in the parsing? So what is the meaning of parser? Parser is checking whether the given statement is in the required format or not. The parser is checking whether the given statement is in the required format or not. What is the meaning of required format? It is as per the syntax of the programming language or not. As per the syntax of the programming language or not. Expression means left side it must contain one non-terminal. Right side it may contain two non-terminals with a expression with a sign. Okay, terminated with the terminator of the statement. Okay, right. Like it checks if assignment left side to the equal side, it should contain one non-terminal. Right side it may contain one non-terminal or terminal. Okay, right. So a parser is able to detect and report any errors in the program. It can detect and report any errors in the program. What it indicates, if it is the statement is as per the syntax, it is saying it is correct. Otherwise, it is detecting an error. Whenever it is detecting an error, it has to report to the compiler. Okay, it has to report error recovery routines. Okay, right. But whenever it is encountering is any error, whenever it is expected that when an error is encountered, parser should be able to handle it, okay, and carry parsing of the rest of the input. What is the thing? If any error is identified, it has to report, and it has to continue compiling the rest of the statements. It should not stop. It should give the what error message, and also it has to carry the rest of the input, rest of the statement till the end of the program. Then only we can get all the errors at once. Otherwise, it behaves like interpreter. Otherwise, it behaves like an interpreter. Okay. So the thing is here, mostly it is expected that from the parser to check for errors, but errors may be encountered at the various stages of the compilation process. Errors may be encountered various stages of the compilation process, not as at a specific level. And also, whenever it is identifying any error, it has to report and it has to carry parsing for the rest of the input also. What is the two things? One is error can be happened at any stage. What is the other thing? Whenever it is identified any error, it has to report and carry with the rest of the statements. Okay, these two things should be performed by the parser. The only thing is we are having the various ways to handle these things. Okay, first of all, we'll see program may have various kinds of errors at various stages. We'll see what are the various stages. One is we can get errors at lexical analysis phase, or it can be handled at the syntactic analysis phase, or semantical analysis phase, or logical analysis phase. Be careful. These are the various stages in the compiler design. Okay. What is the lexical analysis phase? What type of errors we may get? The meaning is name of some identifier types incorrectly. Okay. In the lexical analysis phase, whatever the token it is recognizing, the token may be a variable, okay, or a keyword, or the token itself is not properly created. Okay. So for example, in older version of C, what is the size of token? Any identifier, what is the name size? It may be 8 characters only. Say for example, now presently it is having 32 characters. If it is crossing the number of characters, the length is crossing that particular thing, the token is wrong. Such errors are called as lexical error at the lexical analysis level. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of syntactic analysis level error? Missing semicolon or unbalanced parentheses. An example of error at the syntactic analysis level. Okay. What is the error meaning of at a semantic level? Incompatible value assignments. Okay. We are assigning number to a character data type. Similarly, logical level, error at the logical level means code not reachable or infinite loops, code not reachable, infinite loops, or logical level. Okay, right. So we'll see briefly what are the various ways in the common strategies to handle those errors. What are the common strategies in handling those errors? Okay, in what way it can recover from that particular thing errors. Okay, it should not stop. The main aim is the parser should not stop. It has to carry with the rest of the thing. That is the meaning of handling the errors or error recovery strategies. How to recover errors. Okay, there are 4 common error recovery strategies that can be implemented in the parser. Okay, one is we call it as a panic mode. The first mode is called as panic mode. Okay, when a parser encounters an error anywhere in the statement, it ignores the rest of the statements by not processing input from erroneous input to the delimiter, such as a semicolon. Okay, in the statement we can have multiple errors. In the panic mode means whenever it is identifying the first error, it doesn't consider the rest of the statement. The statement is still the semicolon. Okay, it should not stop. That we are in the panic mode. It is stopping whenever it is identifying the first error. It is not considering the rest of the input till the semicolon, because generally like the programming language here, okay, we are identifying the end of the statement is semicolon. Okay, this is the easiest way of error recovery. Also, after rectifying the first error, we can go for the second error, but it prevents the parser from developing infinite loops. Okay, it prevents the parser from developing infinite loops. Okay, right. Next thing is statement mode. Statement mode. The previously we are not considering the up to the semicolon. The next is the statement mode. When a parser encounters an error, it tries to take corrective measures so that the rest of input of the statement allows the parser to parse ahead. Whenever it identifies the error in the particular statement, maybe at the early stage of the statement, it takes the corrective measures defined by the parser, then it goes to the rest of the statement. Okay. For example, inserting a missing semicolon or replacing the comma with a semicolon, etc. Replace in place of comma, we type semicolon. Okay. So that may be example. It handles how to do the particular replacement of a comma with the semicolon and moves to the rest of the statement. Okay. So the parser designers have to careful here because one wrong correction may lead to the infinite loop. Okay. If you are treating the comma as semicolon, if you are not treating the next part of the statement, the program may goes into the infinite loops also. Okay. We are having the some other thing, error productions. The productions is having some mistakes. Some common errors are known to the compiler designers. Some common errors are known to the compiler designers. Generally, whenever doing the program, what the programmer may do the mistake, okay, in the code. Okay. So designers automatically first they assume those mistakes. In addition with the particular mistakes, the designers can create augmented grammar to be used. Okay. The augmented grammars automatically handles such mistakes. Okay. So they can add the augmented grammar as productions that generate erroneous constructs when these errors are encountered. So whenever they identify some mistakes in those productions using this augmented grammar productions, it automatically generates error messages. Okay. Right. Next is global corrections. The final the thing is global corrections. Not only at a statement level, it can be anywhere in the whole program. The parser considers the program in hand as a whole and tries to figure out what the program is intended to do and tries to find out the closest match for it. Okay. So for example, we can may have a recursive loop or inner loops. Okay. A while inside a while, for inside a for. Okay. It creates a lot of handles. Okay. And it identifies the closest match. It identifies a closest match which is error free. Then it may recognize the particular program to the closest match. Okay. When an erroneous input statement X is fed, it creates the parse tree for the some closest error-free statement. It try to identify at the global level a statement, a parse tree, which is closest to the possible error-free statement. Closest error-free statement. Okay, right. This may allow the parser to make minimum changes in the source code. It is not rising for each and every small change in the program, but it may expect, it may also be a correct one, but there may be a possible correction, a possible error-free possible production. Okay, it identifies all error-free possible productions, and okay, what is the advantage is it makes the minimal changes to the source program. Okay, but only thing is we need to identify all possible statements. Then it becomes a little bit complexity for this particular type of strategy. It has not been implemented in practices in much programming languages. Okay, we need to identify all possibilities. Sometimes it is not possible. Okay, we can handle these particular things using that erroneous things. We are having the other possibility of thing is called as, we are having a separate topic on the abstract syntax trees. It creates using all these possibilities. We can create abstract syntax trees. Okay, that I will expand you completely in the next coming modules. Okay, so the parse that error recovery is completed here. Okay, it is a small additional one. Okay, only which is we are going to expand in the coming classes. Okay, so that is called as abstract syntax trees. Here I told you all possibilities. Okay, which is closer to the parse trees, which is closer to error-free statement. Okay, the parse tree which is closest to error-free statement. Okay, that we can call it as a abstract syntax trees. The parse tree representations are not easy to parse by the compiler as they contain more details than actually needed. That is the main problem why we are getting more errors. To take the following parse tree as an example, okay, what we are doing, E is replaced by E plus E, then this E is replaced by ID. Similarly, this E is replaced by E plus E, then this E's are replaced by this ID. Okay, this E is we can directly replace with ID also. This E is also directly replaced by ID also, so that it can be represented in the short form. Okay, so it can reach the less code. Okay, right. So if you watch the closely, we find most of the leaf nodes are single child only. If the nodes are having the child node or the parent node, the parent can be replaced straight away with the child. The parent can be straight away replaced by the child. This information can be eliminated before feeding it to the next phase. That is the thing. We call it as a optimization. We call it as a optimization. So that extra information can be hidden. That E can be replaced directly by ID. We can obtain a parse tree like this. Okay, this produces less errors. Okay, when compared to the previous ones examples also. Okay, right. So by this particular way, we can easily identify the closest error-free statement or closest error-free parse trees. Okay, we call it the abstract syntax tree. We call it as the abstract syntax tree. So the abstract syntax tree can be easily represented using our the linked list notations plus multiplication, plus for this multiplication we are having the ID and on one more operation. This plus is represented by two links. Okay, so abstract syntax trees are more important data structures in the compiler with least unnecessary information. The abstract syntax trees are more compact than the parse tree that can be easily used by a compiler for executing without any